5 things you gotta know before you hire someone to build a website for your business. Not knowing them could hurt you. The third thing you gotta know. The third thing you gotta know is, well, some technical stuff. No matter who you decide to get you to do your website, you'll need a minimum of 2 things: a domain name and a hosting account for your site. A domain name is simple. It's your www.yourbusinessname.com address that people type into their computers to see your site. The .com is the best to get, but a .net is okay as well. Most people automatically think and type .com at the end of a domain name, but if you emphasize the .net, it'll do almost as well. You have to register a domain name with the international authority that does that. There is a cost to do that. However, if you ask for more than $10 to $15 a year to do that, you're being taken. You need to own your own domain name, not someone else. That's like someone else owning the sign out front of your business. They can take it down anytime they want. You need control of that. Now, let's talk about hosting for a moment. Hosting is done on a server. A server is nothing more than a computer with a lot of hard drive space, which is connected by phone lines to all the other servers in the world. When you buy hosting for your website, all you're buying is some hard drive space on one of those computers and access to those phone lines. That hard drive space is where your website is stored so that the whole world can see it. Hosting is one of the things about having a business website that's confusing to someone new to being online. But it doesn't have to be confusing. Hosting is also where most business owners get taken to the cleaners. The average hosting account, you pay rent on that hard drive space and the phone line access, is done on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. If you're asked to pay or are already paying more than $50 per month for your hosting, then you're getting taken to the cleaners. Non-professional web designers will make this as technical and confusing as they can for you, because this is where they can make some nice recurring income. We'll get to what you really need for hosting in the next slide. Hosting continued. When people start talking about hosting to you, they always start throwing around terms like megabytes and gigabytes and bandwidth. They do that on purpose, try to get you to buy the biggest package they have and make themselves some more money. An average web page is less than 1/100th of a megabyte. An average web page that has a picture that takes up the whole page is less than 1/50th of a megabyte. The average business website that isn't actually selling items online contains maybe 5 or 6 pages and 10 to 15 pictures. That totals up to about half of a megabyte. Yet you're being asked to buy or rent 500 megabytes. Why? Look for hosting accounts that will rent you 25 megabytes per month. That'll give you plenty of room for growth. Anything over that is just taking money out of your pocket and putting it into someone else. That takes care of megabytes. Now let's learn the truth about bandwidth. Hosting continued again. Bandwidth is another thing that gets thrown at you a lot when people are trying to sell you hosting. It's also another way to make more money and take it out of your pocket. You have to realize that other than labor, hosting is your biggest monthly expense in having an online segment of your business. Bandwidth is nothing but a measure of how much phone line time and space that a visitor uses when they look at your website. A page on your website that has 4 pictures and some text on it will, on average, take up less than 1/10th of a megabyte of bandwidth every time a visitor looks at it. I have sites that get over 10,000 visitors every month and have never gone over my bandwidth limit of 5,000 megabytes. So look for a hosting account with 3,000 to 5,000 megabytes of bandwidth per month, and you'll never have to worry. If you start getting over 30,000 visitors every month, then you can always buy more bandwidth and you'll have the money to do that. We'll sum up hosting next. Hosting summary. Hosting is a lot like the rent on your store. As we said before, hosting is, other than labor, the biggest monthly expense you have for a website. So it was worthwhile to help you understand where you can safely save yourself some money. Here's a summary of what you need in a hosting account. Your disk space usage ought to be anywhere from 25 to 50 megabytes per month. Your bandwidth ought to be anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 megabytes per month. Your email counts from 5 to 10. We didn't talk about this, but at most one email account for each department of your business, like owner, billing, service, warehouse, customer service. As an example, owner@yourdomainname.com. Another thing they'll talk to you about is SQL databases. You need 5 to 10 of those, and you probably won't use them right away, but this is just where you can store customer data for more advanced techniques. Chances are you'll never use this, but you can't add it on after you've started. The account must have CGI and PHP. You'll need this if you want your visitors to be able to contact you or if you want to interact with them in any way. And that shouldn't cost you anything extra. That's it for hosting. Here are some important warnings before we move on to the next thing you gotta know. Number 1, always buy your own domain name. Number 2, always get the usernames and passwords to your hosting account, your domain name account, and anything else that requires them. Write the username and passwords down and put them in a safe, memorable place. Just doing these 3 things will save you a lot of headache.